Hey, Don Williams here. Sorry I'm running a little late. Technical challenge this morning. My mentor session for the month, I'm going to answer some questions and let's dive right in. Again, I apologize for being late. So the first AO member with a question is Stella, and she has several questions today. So let's just start with the first one. Her first question is, what tips can you share on making afternoon work more effective? She owns a small sportswear brand in Croatia and works as a personal trainer. Afternoons always seem to slip away without much work getting done. By implementing which habits can I improve? So back to the question, and this is from Stella in Croatia. What tips can you share about making afternoon work more productive? So, psychologists have figured out that humans work best at their most efficient, one, when they express or experience gratitude, and two, when they're on for 60 to 90 minutes and then off for 15 minutes or so, to where you give your brain time to recharge. And so most entrepreneurs know to do their most important work early in the morning and then push their lower priority items to the afternoon. But one suggestion would be to work in 60 or 90 minute bursts and then for sure just take a break for 15 minutes. So hope that helps. Stella's second question, how do I communicate when talking to a new supplier in order to get a better deal? And again, she owns a small sportswear brand in Croatia. She's looking to expand her product line. She's sourcing manufacturers on Alibaba and would like to learn how to convince them to work with me or taking me seriously. So I don't have a lot of experience with Alibaba, but I'm just going to apply kind of what I think I know about Amazon to Alibaba and think that it's going to be fairly similar. And so I think it's going to be difficult as a small business to negotiate better terms, better pricing, at least in the beginning. So to begin with, I would just place my initial order, be sure that you're happy with the quality and the delivery and the service that you received, and then over a period of time see if you cannot establish a relationship. But so many companies that provide an online order portal, they just won't talk to you at all. I mean, think about trying to get somebody from Amazon on the phone or Facebook or LinkedIn. I mean, it's almost impossible. So I'm sorry, I'm not a lot of help there. Let's go to Stella's next question, which is, what do you think successful brands have in common? And I own a small sportswear brand in Croatia. General competition in the sports apparel industry is tough. I want to learn what you think I could apply to my strategy from other successful brands. You know, if you're in sports apparel, that's a tough market. So you've got the major players like Nike and Adidas and another 50 that are huge players there. And so what I can tell you best about branding is be consistent, know your mission, know your purpose, know your core values, and be certain that you're living those, not just talking those, but walking the walk, not just talking the talk. And then emulate what you can from those great big giant, worldwide brands. So that's going to be kind of a challenge. And then the other thing is do some research and just go on Google and search for story branding, and you'll find some really good stuff. People want to be able to connect with a brand, and nobody's going to connect with Phil Knight at Nike. I mean, that's not going to happen, but maybe they could connect with you. You have a story that supports your brand, and that's going to endear you to other people. And then I think we have one more from Stella this month. And here it is. Not only paid ads and email marketing, but what else do you think I could do so more people find out about my brand? She runs ads. She has a new email marketing strategy. What else can she do to reach new buyers? I'll tell you something that Nike does, and I have a friend who they're an outsourced provider. They run these campaigns for Nike. So they book events at universities all across the country. And that might be out of reach for a startup, but any place that there's going to be a crowd of people, if you can do some guerrilla marketing, and not gorilla like the animal, guerrilla like the resourceful warrior in combat. And so get a bunch of people to show up with your branded stuff, sell some stuff, do some crazy things that might get you social media, might get you some viral exposure, and that would be my suggestion there. So Stella, my real expertise is in sales. I appreciate your questions, and I hope that I provided some value to you. Our next question is from Nadia, and Nadia's question is, if someone wanted to invest in me to open a salon suites business, how much percentage would I have to give them? Question mark. And she's currently in a salon suite as a hairstylist and looking to expand to owning salon suites. Well, I do know the answer to that question, Nadia, and the answer to that is everything is negotiable. And so many times on a new venture, ownership is divided by the percentage of investment. So if it's going to take $50,000 to start the business, and party A puts in 25 and party B puts in 25,000, then they will both own 50% of the business. However, everything is negotiable. And even with some of my own clients, I look to provide so much value that they offer to give me a portion of their business, and you'd be surprised how often that happens. That only happens when you can deliver real value, because nobody's going to give you something of value unless they're receiving something of value. But it's totally negotiable, and so work it out. Do a couple different scenarios with the people that you're talking with, see how that's going to go. Okay, Stella and Nadia, we're good there. Next question, Rohit. Rohit, how do I determine prices for my products? Rohit has an exotic snack and drinks business. He sells snacks and drinks from around the world. For example, Fanta, which is a soda pop from Japan or China. Right now we are only e-commerce. We are getting brick and mortar. Our product ranges from a nickel to $15 to cover rent, utilities, etc. for brick and mortar store. Does it make sense to increase prices or keep them where they are? That's a great question. And I'll just tell you this, after 36 years of being an entrepreneur and working with over half of the Fortune 500 and hundreds of clients, I will tell you that most people underprice their product or service. And so product pricing is a combination of a couple of things. One, what's the ultimate value? Okay. 2, where's your competition priced? 3, are you a luxury brand? Because people will pay more for a luxury brand. And you kind of have to look at all of those. You want to be competitive in the market unless you are a luxury brand and can consistently deliver a luxury experience. But almost every entrepreneur, if I looked at their pricing, I would be like, let's raise this 5%. And in 3 months, let's raise it 5 more percent. And in 3 months, let's raise it 5 more percent. Let's find out where sales begin to flatline or fall, and then take a step back. Because almost everybody prices based on cost of goods, their COGS, cost of goods sold, with an adder for a percentage of their margin. And in hard merchandise products, that makes some sense. But in service, your pricing is much better for you if you price it on the value that you deliver, not on what your cost of goods sold are. So hope that helps you. Obviously, you'll have some increased costs with the brick and mortar, and it would be nice to have increased pricing for the same. Here's another question from Rohit. In today's environment, how and what resources would you utilize to prepare a business plan with projections if you've not done it before? And again, his background is he sells exotic snacks and drinks. He's applying for a loan or a line of credit for their brick and mortar store, preparing the business plan. Their first year sales were very low, 1361 sales on an average of $32 orders, but we're only e-commerce. I do not know how to prepare a forecast of future sales. I do not have the experience. What can I do? Thanks. That's a really big question, and one that will be hard to answer comprehensively in this format. But my suggestion to get you started is just go to Google and type in how to write a business plan, and you're going to get the typical 5 million responses. You know, search through what's on page 1, learn what you can, and if need be, reach out for a resource who maybe can help you, and they're probably going to charge you, but help you write a business plan to back up this loan application. And next question is from Jonathan, and Jonathan, his question is, how do I determine what type of life insurance I should have? I'm a residential real estate agent, and I'm looking to maximize my money for future investments. I hear life insurance is a way, but I'm not sure what type works best for me. Do you view life insurance as an investment vehicle, or how do you view it, and how do I know if it's appropriate for me? And that is going to be a question best answered by a licensed life insurance agent, preferably a broker, one who represents multiple lines of insurance. And I am a licensed life and health insurance broker, and at one time we were licensed in 40 states, but I'm only going to be able to talk to you in kind of broad strokes because it's a very individual. So typically, life insurance is a decent investment when your net worth and your cash flow is a certain level. For a startup business, I don't know that I would recommend people to buy index universal life or whole life because it's expensive. If you were, say, a younger man, and I have no idea of your situation, but just for example, say you were 30 and you were married and you had 3 children. So typically there, to me, life insurance, the most important purpose would be to replace 10 years worth of income so that in the unlikely event that you passed away at a very early age, that your wife and children would be able to pay off the house and have income to bridge them till they were able to successfully enter the next phase of their life. And I can tell you that sometimes middle-aged and older people buy what's called index universal life, which is so really for the life insurance of that young person who's just looking to replace their income and maybe pay for a house. They're going to buy term life insurance, and term is going to be very inexpensive. You see the TV commercials where it's $250,000 for a 30-year-old for $17 a month. Just examples. When people are investing in life insurance, and there's a real reason to do that, money that comes out of a life insurance policy so far typically is not taxed at income. It's not income taxed. And so in the event somebody dies, the insurance company writes a check, they hand that to the beneficiary, that's not taxable as of this point. By the same token, whole policy or index universal life builds cash value, and so it's much more expensive. If term costs $17 a month, the other might cost $100 or $150. Again, just examples. but it builds cash value in it, and you can borrow against that cash value, and you don't pay income tax, when you borrow that. But those are all great questions for someone who's very experienced, very knowledgeable, a broker. I would typically not recommend someone who just sells Allstate or just sells State Farm, but someone who represents many companies and somebody who's got a lot of experience. But great question, and I applaud you for looking around for investment vehicles. Typically, the first thing to do with life insurance is just replace your income and provide a paid-for domicile for your family in the unlikely event of your passing. So hope that's helpful. Next question, Cliff. Cliff says, when it comes to daily and weekly huddles and team meetings, is the process and flow the same for a company of 2 people versus 20 or more? Great question. And his background, business description and background of the question is, had a great AO Zoom call about team building, daily huddles, and leadership meetings. They're currently only a team of 2, and we're looking at how to run our meetings and if we even need them for our small team. Love the daily huddle AO resource as a start, but that just seems like we might need something a little more for our team of 2. Are we overthinking it? So the question again from Cliff is, when it comes to daily, weekly huddles, and team meetings, is the process and flow the same for a company of 2 versus 20 or more? Well, so 20 or more is a big range, but I'm a big believer in the process of a daily huddle. And it uses the word huddle. So like a football team, they're in the huddle, and the quarterback calls the play so that all the players know what their responsibility is on that play. And then they go to the line of scrimmage and they do the call and hike the ball and run the play. So think about that. That huddle is maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds, very short, very to the point, okay? And then the play might take 3, 4, 5 minutes before they're back in the huddle. They run the play and reset the ball and move the down marker and all that jazz. So if you look at your daily huddles, they don't need to be that short, but I've always believed what Judge Zig Ziglar's brother said. He said that meetings mean money or disaster. And so don't keep people in a meeting just because we booked 30 minutes and so we're going to be here for 30 minutes. It's much better that when you're done, you're done. And so, our daily huddles are typically about 10 minutes and they follow the same format. So there's continuity, and that way anyone can lead them and everyone will lead them at some point or another. As your team grows, you can follow the same format up to a point, but at a certain point, you just can't have, a daily huddle with 100 people, okay? And so think about it like the military. The military basically, when you get to 8, there's a supervisor, and then over 8 supervisors, there's another supervisor, and so on. So I don't know where the best line is for you in that, but you can't run the same meeting with 100 you run with 2 people, obviously. And I encourage you to keep running the meeting with 2 people, but I'd also be very short, very sweet, very to the point. If you don't have much to say, don't worry about it. Don't say it. Next question, and this is from Kimberly. And Kimberly, she wants to know, how do I determine direct pricing versus wholesaling prices? And her description and business background is she's a hairstylist. She sells products retail directly to clients, but there are other products that she purchases wholesale she'd like to turn around and wholesale to other stylists for them to make money. How do I determine what the margin should be so they can make money selling it to their clients, but I also make a margin? My advantage is I can buy in higher volumes to get better pricing from wholesalers than they get. What a great strategy to add to the growth of your business. And so let me just give you some numbers that'll make this really simple, and then you can apply the concept that I'm sharing to what you're doing. So let's say the product sells retail for $1. I'm just pulling numbers out of the air. And that you can buy the product wholesale for 50 cents. And so the people that you'd like to sell to, they can buy that product wholesale for 65 cents. And the reason they're paying 65 cents and you're paying 50 is because you're buying in bigger volume, and so you're getting better prices. So just a real simple thing to do is you want to price it beneath what they would pay when they buy wholesale. And so you're buying for 50 cents, they're buying for 65, it's retailing for $1. You might offer a wholesale price at 60 cents, which would allow you to make a dime or 20% margin on your 50-cent price. And they're still buying beneath what it would cost them to buy directly from the wholesaler. And so you have truly a win-win. You're winning some margin, you're buying in bigger volume, your price is probably continuing to drop, and they're paying a better price than they would pay on their own. Now, the simple way to handle the accounts receivable is not have any accounts receivable, is when the wholesale customer buys from you, they get the product and they hand you the check, or they pay for it online and you ship the product. However you're going to deliver it, that's entirely up to you. But if you extend credit terms and they pay you 30 days later, 10 days later, 60 days later, eventually you'll have someone who does not pay, and that lost revenue will eat up a lot of a 20% margin. So probably not great big money in wholesaling, but 20% more is better than not having the 20%. And as long as you don't have to worry about collecting any money, you should be good to go. So hope that helps. And again, those were just numbers I pulled out of the air. And that is this month's questions and answers from Don Williams for AO. See you next time. Thank you. Bye now.